You are live. Hey, happy Monday. Made for More Monday. I'm so excited today, you guys, to bring you Amber Parker. I'm so excited. So I know a bunch of you are going to be hopping on. Let me just make sure we are live, Amber, so that we are streaming to actual people. And it's been kind of weird lately. Edit privacy. Nope, not public. Alrighty. If you are on YouTube, I am not able to see your comments, but if you are on Facebook, we really want you to join in the conversation. Say, hey, let us know where you're tuning in from. We're going to talk about simplicity, which I think is such a relevant topic. So please grant StreamYard access so that we can see what your name is. Otherwise, it says Facebook user. So please say, hey, let us know where you're tuning in from. Amber, thank you so much for joining me today. I am super excited for today.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah. Let me see if I can see comments coming in. Awesome. Hey guys, I am so excited. Amber is an author and a speaker. She is an author of Finding Simplicity. So we're going to be talking all things simplicity today in a complicated world, which I'm super excited. If you are tuning in or just catching us, you want to catch it live, we're going to give away a copy. So stay tuned, engage, comment, join in the conversation. If you are catching this on the replay, you can check the comments and order. It is on Amazon. I ordered it, Amber. It is such a good book. So welcome. Thank you for being on. I really appreciate it. So can you just kind of tell the people listening, just a little bit about yourself, like your background and kind of what kind of started this thought of writing a book?
Yeah, so I'm Amber. I live in a little mountain town in Virginia in the Blue Ridge Mountains, and I work at a nonprofit organization. And I don't know all of your audience, but my journey is a faith-based journey. So God is a big part of my life. And as I followed him and journeyed with him, he stirred a lot of things in me. But one of them, probably I'd say 5 or 6 years ago, was this desire to write. And it was one of those things that kind of surprised me. I think I associated writing with my old master's degrees and that type of stuff. And so I was like, writing's not for me. But I had a mentor who told me, I think you need to write a book. And as I pondered it, I realized I've always loved teaching, and writing is an excellent way to connect with people and teach. And so I started this journey of thinking, well, what would that look like? And what could I do? And what do I have to offer people? And I was in a small group at my church, and we were studying the book of James. And as we were studying the book of James and we were having these interactive conversations, and a lot of people were walking through really hard things in their lives, we were having these conversations, and the book of James helped us so much. And it just kept running through my mind. This is something you can share with other people. And so I took that theme that I was learning and turned it into a book. And of course, in the process, I learned a lot more.
Yeah, of course. So a little bit about your background. Is this your first book? What did you do before this? Was this an area you were like, I think I'm going to do this? Because it sounds like you just shared your journey and your learning, which is awesome. But before that, what was a little bit about your background? Because I'm interested to know myself. I don't really know that much.
Yeah. So this was my first book, to answer that question. That's the easy one. But
congratulations.
So I grew up in North Carolina, outside of Charlotte. Nothing too out of the ordinary, went to school, went to college, all of that.
North Carolina.
North Carolina, yeah. Right. That's right. You're a North Carolina girl.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So, nothing too out of the ordinary, but I would say probably the most significant thing for me in those early years is when I was in high school, I went on a trip internationally to Trinidad. And when I did, all of a sudden, I saw things that I had never seen in my sheltered little life that I had lived. And it opened my eyes to, there's a whole different world out there. There's different cultures. There's different ways that people grew up and ways that people lived. And it just totally transformed my life. And in that, it was that season where I was trying to figure out, where am I going to go to college? Who do I want to be? What do I want to become? And I realized, instead of being this great person or doing this great thing, I wanted to follow God and love people. So that took me on a journey of trying to figure out, what does it look like to use my gifts, and what are my gifts, and all of that. So I ended up going to college. I worked at the university for a while. And then I worked nonprofit and I've worked in a church. And it's funny, through all of those things, I've done a lot of different things, a lot of different positions. But over time, I found a theme of what I really love, which is development. I love seeing people grow. I love working with leaders and with teams. And so it looks different in different seasons, but I would say that's a theme of who I am and what I like to do is development.
I love it. Well, no wonder we connected then. Hey guys, I see you guys hopping on. Hey Mindy, thanks for tuning in. I'm so excited. Hey Victoria, I see you guys. Hey, we're going to give away a copy of the book. So if you're tuning in, stay in the chats because we're going to give it away at the end and give you all the goods in the meantime. Yes, Amber, I love hearing this because I think it's relevant. The reason why I really like doing these interviews on Mondays is because I feel like we are made for more. And I feel like so many women, because that's my message is for women, not to exclude anyone else, specifically even mamas, like we all go on that journey of like finding ourselves. What's our message? What's our purpose? Like, you know, and if you do that, you end up on the personal development. Am I right? Yeah. Hey, Candy. Hey, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah. So I think so many people can relate in that journey of just saying like, okay, so I want to make an impact. Like, it doesn't matter where you came from. Like, I grew up not far from you and I'm in California now. I thought I would never live here. But, you know, this is where God has me and that's the truth. And so, you know, you never know what your mission field or your purpose or your message or your vision or your impact is going to lead you. So props to you because I think so many people want to write a book. What do they say? The average person has like several books in them. But you literally took that journey and you put it into you know, sharing it with others in a very, very tactical way. I got a lot out of this book. So I really want to bring the goods today. I really want to give the value. I would like to know if this is relating to you. If you're watching on the replay, let us know. Honestly, because I want to get into sharing specifics for you guys on, you know, how can we find simplicity in this world? How many of you guys feel like me? I just feel like sometimes it almost feels like a full-time job to simplify things, if that makes sense. Because there's just we're so bombarded with information and all the things. So Amber, I'd love to hear, you know, your takes on this. I mean, I know a couple that we're going to share, but just in general, like, you know, finding simplicity, like why the name of that? Why the title? I know you go through the book of James, which I love, but like on the whole, under the umbrella of it, what would you say led you?
Well, I would say all of us have a tendency, I think, to make things more complicated, right? Even I'm not a high maintenance kind of girl. Like people might even use the word simple to talk about me, but I know like I can easily overcomplicate things. Even if externally I look calm in my mind, you know, you start racing and you running and you figuring it out. And the truth is the world is complicated enough without me making it more complicated.
And that's the truth.
Right? So I think like that's at the heart of finding simplicity is it's based on the Bible and knowing God helps simplify our lives. And,
Absolutely.
you know, I love studying the teaching of Jesus. And one thing that I noticed the more I study his teaching is that it's simple. When he walked on the earth, it was complicated then too. Like we like to think, oh, this day and age is complicated. It's never been. And we have more technology and we have things that add to it, but it was complicated then too. And the way that he interacted with people, the way that he talked to people, it was simple, straightforward, and went right to the heart.
Absolutely.
And I think if we want to simplify our lives, you know, there's things we can do externally that help. You know, if you're organized, if you balance your checkbook, if you don't have clutter in your house, that definitely helps make your life simpler. But ultimately, you can have like, you can go through like the Marie Kondo and have everything in order. Your closet can be clean. All your stuff looks great on the outside, but inside you can still be in chaos.
Absolutely.
And so finding simplicity is really looking at not just the external, but the internal. What are your inside choices that you're making? Because I think we've all been in situations where you watch somebody walk through the same thing and one person falls apart and one person stays strong. Or even yourself, you're in this season of life and one day it feels like complete chaos. And then other seasons, that same season can feel like peace. What changed? you, not what's happening outside.
Yes. And that personal development, like you were talking about. And actually, yeah, they're saying totally makes perfect sense. So yeah, I want to go back to what you said about having everything perfect, but being like chaos on the inside. It's so funny because I always set like joke for years because I'm a really organized person. I want to say like recovering perfectionist because I don't claim that, but just I want it organized. But I always joke that you can tell what's going on inside if you just look around. Like if my house, if it feels out of control, or my car or my purse is the worst. And I joke about it, but it's so true because when those things start to get like, cluttered or whatever you want to call it, it's not really that big a deal, except for I've learned that it means internally I need to slow down. Mm-hmm. Because I'm not able to manage all of these other outside symptoms of what's actually going in. And I did it just like you did, like a personal development. Like I need margins in life. Like I like to be busy and organized and scheduled, but I wasn't making those margins. And like you said, going back to that personal development. Yeah. I think we've got some recovering perfectionists on here. Yes, Candy says help. Minnie says yes, recovering perfectionists. Absolutely. And that's where I think like people can really relate because, either you're a perfectionist or let's just say you're the opposite. You just don't have, that's not your gene of organization or whatever. That doesn't mean that you can't find that peace, internally. So I know we kind of wanted to get in. I want to make sure that we do this. So what's the first thing that you can tell them if they are trying to get that in going through?
Yeah, so there's a lot of things, but we're going to do 3 things today. Okay, so
first of all, you guys, so you've got to go follow her, and we're going to give that at the end. But yes, we're just doing 3 today.
Number 1, if you want to find simplicity, I want to encourage you, change your perspective. Okay, so often the way we think about something changes how we act, how we interact, and the outcome of the situation. So our minds are really powerful. And so we can have the same situation, and if we change our perspective, it can change the trajectory of our lives. So one example based in the book is the Bible teaches us in the book of James, the very first words is this crazy thing that the author says. He says, when he's talking to people who are going through a trial where they've been displaced from their home. And he says, consider it all joy when you face trials. And I don't know about you, but my first thought is, what? Like, you want me to think it's joyful when I'm going through something hard? But he goes on and he talks about, because that very thing that you're going through, it's going to build your character. It's going to make you closer to God. It's going to make you a stronger person, and it's going to mature you. And it's like anything. Like, I'm not a runner, but I know you don't become an athlete without a lot of practice, right? Everything that is difficult and painful can bear fruit into something greater. And very few things turn out really great if there's no hard work and effort. And so often when life is crazy, we want to think, what's wrong? What's wrong with me? Can I just get this over with? But if we change our perspective and we look for, how am I growing? What am I learning? What's reality? I'll give you one example from my life when I was writing the book. There was a situation that I was walking through with, we'll say, somebody in a work situation. And as I was walking through the situation, it really bothered me, like for a long time. And I was letting it, even months later, like eat inside of me. And I realized as I was studying this, I had a lot of bitterness. And what God showed me is I was blaming somebody else for what was happening inside of me. And until I looked inside and took personal responsibility instead of pushing the blame out there, I was never going to get past this pain in my own heart. So I had to, let's say, flip the script, change my perspective and say, okay, yes, that was a bad thing. Yes, they made a mistake, but only I can control what's going on inside of me. And I'm letting something somebody else said or did derail my life, which is crazy because it's my life. I don't want them to dictate my life.
But we've all done it, right? Like, how many of you guys can relate? Are we the only ones? Like, I think all of us can relate to that because the struggle is real. We let other things dictate and we become reactive instead of guarding ourselves And like you said, like flipping that switch or making the perspective different. It's so funny that you say this, Amber. My post on Instagram this morning was literally like this very thing. And I got it from someone else, so I can't claim it. It was like, you want to change things, you take responsibility. It wasn't about that other person, right? You had to look internally. And that's that changer's perspective, right, guys? Like, is it just us? And the other one was, what did you say? Growing through it. Because we're going to have trials. Like it's not all mountaintops, right? Like it's a journey. And if you don't learn to enjoy the journey, you're going to be miserable. And we've all met those miserable people, right? We all know one. Hopefully we're not one, but that just very pessimistic. If you want to enjoy life, you have to change your perspective. So I love that you brought this up, because you can't talk about finding simplicity unless you really do go internally and really change that perspective of, enjoying it. And I am, right, a former athlete, and that's kind of what I do every day. And it's like, okay, you can't be that master, like you were saying, overnight. You've got to go through the journey and learn to enjoy working out, learn to enjoy being healthy, learn to enjoy writing the book instead of just being done with it, like just wanting to wish it away or wish that growth period, because a lot of times that's where your change actually happens. Am I right?
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. All right, let's go on to number 2.
So number 2, choose love over judgment. Okay. I firmly believe that as human beings, we are created for relationship and love. And everything, it seems at times, is attacking that, right? So we have a choice in how we respond to other people. And watch the news, go on social media, do whatever. How long does it take to find judgment? Not too many scrolls, not too many posts, not too much reading. Just have conversations with friends and family, and judgment comes very quickly, easily, and naturally. But love is a choice. Now, this is not to say that every relationship is supposed to be perfect, right? And it's not saying that there's never times that we have to set boundaries and protect ourselves. But generally, when we are working with people professionally, we're with our family, we always have a choice: love or judgment. Yeah. Love is not always easy in 2 ways. It's not easy in that it's not always what I feel like doing. And it's not always easy in that I let somebody walk all over me, right? It can be tough. Love is real love too, but it comes again to what's happening inside. So, I don't know.
Action, wouldn't you say? Like, choosing love. Number 1, I love that when you were like, okay, these are the 3 that I want to share about finding simplicity. Okay. What is choosing love over judgment? What the heck does that have to do with like being simple? Because it simplifies everything. Because It's so easy to be judgmental. Like, it's so easy. Like, you can call it whatever you want. Take the high road, right? Sometimes you want to take the low road. Let's be honest. But choosing love is an action. It's a choice. It's not like you said, like somebody's rolling over you, or, you don't have to make it weird either. It's just an action of choosing to love someone. And man, this message needs to be broadcast lately, right? It doesn't matter your stance. I'm not going to go up on any kind of tangent here, but how many of you guys think that if everyone had the mentality, please let me know, like drop me some hearts, give us some love, anything. I see y'all on. Y'all being a little quiet. The teacher in me wants feedback. But how many of you guys think so much could be solved right now if everyone had the mentality of choosing love over judgment first? Like, we could solve a lot of problems. We could get some peace in a lot of areas of life if we would simply choose the action of loving someone over the judgment. So I love this one.
I think we have the tendency to want to react and justify ourselves. And very few times, actually, I can't think of any, have I seen someone get really angry and it simplified things, right? But when you're calm, cool, collected, even if you have hard truth to say, you can avoid a lot of chaos in your life.
Absolutely.
By how you respond and tempering things and saying, okay, is this all about me, or is this about the other person, right?
Absolutely.
And just switching that, because like you said, our world could use some love today, right?
100%. Yes. I'm getting yes, 100%. because we do need that. Like you said, I love it. All right, let's get to the third one. I love it.
Point 3, cultivate joy. So I would say this is an overflow of number 1 and number 2. When we change our perspective and when we choose love over judgment, we're going to find we enjoy life a lot more. But I would say joy is something that we have to cultivate. And joy is not about, some people want to think happiness and joy are the same thing. Happiness is based off of, I feel this way because this is happening. Joy is a steadiness that can be in the hardest times. It can be when you're grieving, when you're walking through painful situations, when you're walking through trials. Joy is a steadiness that says, yes, there's a lot of bad, but there's good. For me, it means I believe that God is good, that I trust him, that there's peace despite the storm. But it's an intentional thing, because I don't know about you people out there. I don't know about you, Emily, but I don't naturally wake up in the morning and think, I'm not one of those people bounces out of bed and like, wow, it's going to be a beautiful day. That's not me.
No, we don't know each other that well, but I do not either at all. Ask my children. How many of you guys are morning people? Anybody? I'm sure that there are some on here. Yes, 100%. Okay, some of y'all are you a morning person? But yeah, no, I love how you said cultivate joy, because going back to choosing the love, so many times we get reactive where we feel angry over a situation that overcomplicates it, over emotionalizes it, over sensitize, like it just makes it on the surface, when in all honesty, we really could bring it back to that peace and that joy. And it's funny because I think like a mom, right? And when my kids were really little and I'm having a rough day, or a kid's being terrible or throwing a tantrum or whatever the day looks like, I used to tell my husband, I'm like, the worst day with my kids is still a joyful day than the best day without them. And that really is a perspective. That's choosing love. And that's cultivating joy, because I understood that if I wanted to instill the joy in my children, I needed to enjoy them. And I needed to decide to cultivate that joy. And I think that we can all take this away, Amber, in deciding to cultivate joy in our life, no matter the circumstances. And I know you guys got to read the book, because she gets really into this, like in depth in the book, and it's so good. How many of you guys make a decision like to cultivate? Mindy's, I love the mornings. I know you do. She's my husband is the morning person. We call me the closer, and it takes both in life. So it's like that. But yeah, now cultivating that joy in your life really does make it simple, because, you're looking at what brings you joy in life, but you're choosing it even when it's not something that you enjoy. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think there's like your example with your kids is so perfect, because in everything, there's something good, right? If we focus on what's going wrong, what's annoying us, how people are driving us crazy,
what you focus on expands.
Right. And it adds chaos. True. But if we look at what's good, that brings simplicity, right? Because you're like, oh, this is what really matters. And you focus in on what really matters. And again, you flip the script, you change your perspective, you choose love, and you're going to find joy.
Well, and sometimes it means dropping things. Like for me, I noticed there were times that there were things in my life where I was looking for more simplicity, especially when my children were really small. And, I've been an entrepreneur for like 20 years now. And so, there's been times where I've let that be too much. And when my kids were little, I noticed that when I scheduled those margin times where it wasn't like, oh my God, I have 8 minutes to get to the next, like I was not happy. And so I think part of that cultivating joy is that reflection back internally that we talked about earlier. And let me know if you guys relate. Like, have you guys done this where you feel like, okay, well, to cultivate joy, these are my boundaries, or these are my, perimeters. So let me know. I'd love to drop in the chats, guys. I see you guys hopping on. Please make sure to say hey. If you've not used StreamYard, it just says Facebook user. So click the link above. Also, we're giving away a book at the end. So please chime in, give us some love. Amber, I love the 3 of these. So I'm just kind of curious, like if you could take one thing, and I know you already took these down to 3 and you're like, all right, Em, I already took these down to 3, but one thing, if there was like one person that's like, okay, I'm going to try to get the book, but if I can't, what would you tell them?
I would say you always have a choice. You can choose chaos or simplicity. So you can't control your circumstances, but you can control how you react to them.
Which is easier said than done. So we're not saying it's like, it's simple, but it's not easy, right? It's so not easy. Yes, I love it. I love this. Yes, need to do that, says Candy. Yes, absolutely. And I think we all need to do that because we get to different stages in life where we need to go back and find simplicity again. And then life takes over sometimes and we get chaos again, or the purse gets, I always relate it. Like if my car and my purse is junky, then it's time for me to slow down. I'm just saying. Like that's how that's how it is. Every time, like if I feel like everything for too long, it's usually like there's an underlying thing there. And so I just need to bring it back, right? Change my perspective. Sometimes it's redrawing boundaries and making that choice, like you said, like to cultivate joy and find that simplicity. I love this. You guys, I cannot recommend this book enough. The link is in the chat. It should work. It should be a live link. Thanks for the love, guys. Thank you. It's really good. Like we shared 3, but in all honesty, like I was up really late reading this last night because I was like, oh, this is good. Oh, this is good. And so I think I'm going to have to reread it like with a highlighter, Amber. It's like that good. So let me know if you guys are wanting the free copy of it. Drop it in the chat. If you're live, you get an advance if you're watching it on the replay. Amber, I want to dig. Okay, so my mission. I love entrepreneurs. I love supporting women. I was super pumped to have you on today. I love chatting. Like this is my jam. This is what I like to do. So like Mindy's been on here and the rest of y'all need to be. I think Victoria's been on here. I really want to know on a separate like side note, because y'all got to read the book. I read the book. Y'all got to read the book. I'm just saying. If you feel like you have a message to share, because this is Made for More Monday, and you feel like you're kind of getting that stirring, like, well, maybe I should kind of put this out there to share with the world, which is super scary, I can imagine, right? Because I put a few things out that I was like, oh, you don't know how it's going to be received, right? What would you say? Okay, because we all kind of think that, like, oh, I should write a book. Oh, I should write a book. I've thought that a few times. What took you into the action step, and what would you tell people to get started?
Well, I think writing is like anything else. I was going to say that I think a lot of people think of writing as like, I need to be inspired. If I'm inspired, I'll do it. But I listen to a lot of things and like podcasts and reading and whatever. And the thing that was consistent over and over is it's a discipline. So like any craft, any art, anything you want to achieve, you have to be disciplined. So the best way to write a book is to sit down at a computer and write and write and write. And so like some people will say, I'm going to write this amount of time each week. Some people will do this much word count. For me, it was the time because that's what I could schedule. So I went to coffee shops because if I sit at a coffee shop, I'll stay seated longer than if I do it at my house. So it's like, okay, I have a 3-hour block, buy myself a cup of coffee. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to write for 3 hours. Wow. And slowly over time, it turns into a book, but you have to have the discipline. And I think then the creativity comes. If you wait and say, oh, I need the inspiration and then I'm going to do it, it probably won't happen.
Well, you have to give yourself a deadline. Like how many times have I told my kids, like if they have something they have to write, they're like, oh, I don't know what to write about. But once they have to start writing, then once you start, the creative things start coming. So I know a bunch of people on here. Let me know how many of you guys, like I know a lot of people on here do have the discipline of keeping, gratitude or prayer journals or devotionals. Like I write every day and I grew up doing that. And then I got totally out of the habit of doing that. Like when my kids were younger, I wanted to write more and I just didn't get in the discipline. And now that they're, a little older and stuff, I've just made myself get back into that. So I would love to know, let me know, do you guys make it a point to not necessarily write a book? You don't have to write a book, but how many of you write? Because sometimes those things, yes, Candy says I need to get in gear. Regarding what, Candy? What like getting in gear, like writing, getting in gear, like simplicity? Like I would love to know your all's takeaways. If you guys are still on here, yep, there's a bunch. So let us know, like, what is your biggest takeaway? What's the one thing that you're going to take away from this? Is it to change your perspective? Is it to cultivate joy? Is it, what was the other one? Is it love? Choosing that. And I've had lots. I can tend to be very reactive. So that might be one. And then the discipline. So many things in life come down to being disciplined. So that's a big one. That's a big one for me. So just saying. Yes, discipline. Candy, yes, I feel you. Yes, absolutely. Amber, I love it. Do you have any final like wrap up things you want to share?
Can I give one writing tip?
Absolutely.
If you do want to write a book, this is the best tip that I heard.
Okay.
Don't edit yourself when you write. Just get the words on paper. Because if you edit yourself, you can spend that whole hour or two on one sentence. And most of the time, if you just put whatever's in your brain and you dump it out, you'll have a lot much better than what you think. And that's true like for entrepreneurs. This is not just for writing a book, but that's like writing your Facebook post, writing blog, whatever you're writing. If you just get your thoughts out on paper and then go back and edit, you'll get so much further faster.
That is so true, because the teacher in me, right, we call it brain dump, free write. So unfortunately, my son is all about the free write and he doesn't want to edit. So that's what we're working on. But that is absolutely true, is really don't edit yourself, at least that first time through, just getting it out there. Whether, like you said, whether that's a blog post, if you're an entrepreneur, whether that's maybe an email that you're sending out, a sales letter, a blog, like it doesn't really matter. It applies to everything. And the discipline of doing that. And you know what's so funny? The more you practice these, you guys, because I've been reading this for a while, like a bit. And so, I try to apply a few of these. And it's funny because you can get into discipline pretty quickly. And it really is the mindset of how you start your day. And I see y'all on here. And I know that half of you guys really do have that discipline of, the gratitude or the devotions in the morning, and maybe adding that writing bit in there. That's all I did. And I just told myself it was not 3 hours at the coffee shop. It was 5 minutes. Like, I'm going to sit here, don't talk to mom, 5 minutes, right? Or trying to get up and get that done before. So I love it. So I popped up here, subscribe and follow. Okay, so Amber said she's got free resources. You guys got to go check out amberparker.net. Go follow her. I found her over on Instagram. Amber, where's the best place?
Instagram is probably the best place to see me, and then Facebook, my business page, to get like blog posts and, more of the formal business side.
Perfect. So, yeah. Perfect. I love it. Okay. So let me see here. All right, Amber, how do we want to do this? I want to give away, where are the comments? Okay. Let me know who wants a copy of the book, Parent Myself Better. Lord have mercy. That is one of mine. How many of you, not to get off here, but this is so relevant because I think we've all felt like this. Like, I went from teacher to mom, and so I'm used to talking for a living. I'm used to telling other people what to do. I get paid to tell people what to do. Well, I can tell them to eat healthy. Yes, Candy, I can tell them to eat healthy, but then I can't go around and eat the junk. And I can tell them that I want them to move, but then have I moved? And then I'm telling them not to watch that on TV, but have I disciplined myself and protecting myself against watching all that negative crap? Or, I tell them to go to bed, but then I want to stay and watch Netflix after they're asleep. And man, the disciplining yourself and parenting yourself, because there's no one as an adult that comes and says, hey, you need to find simplicity. Hey, you need to slow things down. Hey, you need to, choose love over being super judgy. It's so much better if we can, with Amber, like go to God with that, but also be able to monitor and discipline that in yourself, whether that's just journaling or if it's literally just trying to find more peace and simplicity in your life. So I love that. Any other takeaways? Any other final thoughts?
I think just going back to that, with everything, you have a choice. And we want to think, man, everything's going wrong. The world, our world's crazy. You don't have to look hard to find problems. But even in all of that, you can choose simplicity. It doesn't matter how much chaos there is. You always have that choice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love it. Amber, thank you so much for being on. All right. So, Candy, message me and tell me that you got the book. We're going to get your address. We're going to mail you a copy of Finding Simplicity. Amber Parker. If you want to get the book, like I said, please make sure you just click it. It's in the comments. It's on Amazon. I think I got it in 24 hours. It was awesome. Follow Amber. I've been following her now. I'm so glad that we've connected, Amber. And thank you so much for sharing. This was so valuable. If you guys got value, if you're watching this on the replay and you were like, man, I need more simplicity in my life, I need to remember these. I need to take it back. I've been overcomplicating this. What was I thinking? Like, let us know. Drop us some love. Please share this with someone that you think this would be a blessing with. Remember to share that, like we said, the love instead of the judgment. I think that's a great reminder for us to walk away with. And just drop Amber all the love if you guys got lots of value. And yeah, I'm excited. I am so excited to stay in contact with you, and I can't wait to see your next book, because I have a feeling this is not going to be your last one.
No, I got one rolling around up here. So we'll see what happens.
I knew it. Everybody say thank you so much. Wow, thank you so much. So valuable. So thank you so much. I appreciate you so very much. And all right, guys, I'll see you soon.